I had a handful of you asking for more recipes for two, and so today I'm sharing another round of fantastic recipes designed just for two people, but you can certainly make this for just yourself and then have some leftovers. I think you're gonna love what I've come up with today. It's a great variety. I'm so glad you're here. If we haven't met, my name is Ange, and this is the Menu Made Kitchen. Well, these BLT flatbreads are going to be so much fun, and if you love BLTs, this is going to be a fun way to enjoy it. And the great thing is we can just make a couple of flatbreads, just enough for two. So we're going to start off with our bacon. I have 6 slices of pretty thick bacon. I actually put this in the oven at 425 for about 10 minutes and cooked it until they were just about crispy. I like a little bit of chew to them, but the nice thing about doing them in the oven is then my house doesn't get all smoky, but it still smells amazing like bacon. So we need to get our bacon chopped up, and I'm going to do it in kind of like 1-inch pieces. I don't want it to be super fine because you definitely want to taste the meatiness of the bacon. It is a BLT after all. And then I'm going to prep my tomatoes. I found these kind of smallish. They're not quite cherry tomatoes, but they're not like regular sized tomatoes. And I think they'll be a perfect size to like put little rings all over the flatbread. And I might need one more. We're actually going to take our flatbread out to my grill, and I'm going to grill it until it's a little bit kind of charred and toasty, and then we'll add our cheese and melt the cheese. You can definitely do the flatbread in the oven, but since it's still summertime and I thought the extra smokiness on the flatbread would be really yummy. And I got my bread at Safeway. I also buy it at Trader Joe's sometimes, but the one at Safeway, or if you have like an Albertsons, I think that they're kind of the same thing. But anyway, flatbread that's a little bit larger in size. And then I've already prepped my lettuce. That is good to go. We did some romaine lettuce. So we're going to put together a really simple sauce. I've got some mayonnaise, sour cream, and we have a little bit of red wine vinegar. It is not a BLT without some good mayonnaise, and I think the sour cream will add just a nice little creamy tang to it. So 3 tablespoons of each. And then I did about a teaspoon of red wine vinegar. So stir all of this together, and we're actually going to spread some of this on our flatbread when it comes out of the oven with the cheese on it, and then we'll kind of drizzle more over the top. Okay, that looks good. So we are going to head out to the grill with our flatbread, and I have it set on like a medium-high heat. We're going to toast both sides just a little bit, and then we'll add some cheese to the top of each naan, about 3/4 cup. You definitely want a good amount of cheese. We'll let that melt. I'll turn my heat down to low because we definitely don't want to burn the bottom. And then come back in here and start assembling our yummy flatbread BLTs. Oh my gosh, I cannot even wait. So I'm going to take a little bit of my mayo sour cream mixture, and we'll spread some on the bottom here. I feel like you could really have fun with these. You could add some fresh avocado, you could do some red onion, green onion, you could sprinkle a little cilantro over the top, you could add chicken. I mean, so many ways to really jazz these up, but I want to keep them pretty classic, obviously minus the cheese and the naan bread. So then we're going to add some of our bacon. Probably I'm going to have more bacon than I need. I can always, if we really, really love these, I'll just store it in the fridge and then we can make another one tomorrow. Okay, I think that looks good. And then we'll chop it with some tomatoes. Is your mouth watering like mine is? I'm so hungry. These tomato slices are perfect. They're the perfect size. I am going to add a little bit of salt on my tomatoes, just a scotch, because the bacon obviously is salty, and then our mayo mixture has a little saltiness to it. And then a little pepper. And then we're going to add some of our crunchy romaine lettuce. I chopped this up pretty good. The only thing I have left to do is I'm going to drizzle a little more of my mayo sauce over the top, just because it's got to be good and saucy with each bite. And then we get to taste this together. So I like to cook my naan bread so it's kind of chewy, but I still wanted it to be crispy because a BLT usually has crispy toast. But I did my husband's a little extra crispy. Check that out. Doesn't that look amazing? Oh, it's gonna be so good. Okay, if I had a mic, actually I do, I would drop it. I feel like I have no words. It is truly phenomenal. I mean, BLTs are obviously a very delicious meal to have, but doing it this way and that mayo, sour cream, red wine vinegar combination on here. You get so much smokiness from the bacon. That cheese just gives it kind of some saltiness. Excellent. An excellent meal for two that I'm really, really excited to hear if you try it. You'll definitely have to let me know in the comments. Come back to it if you try it and let me know, because this is just fantastic. My husband's working from home today and I just took him in his piece. He's a little bit hard to please when it comes to like classics. He said it was pretty good. So actually, when I did my first Dinners for Two video, I was inspired by my husband making a comment to me about, hey, we need to start like making smaller meals. Our daughter was at college and I was making these huge meals. So anyway, I thought this next one would be fun.
This one's very good. I approve this one. I like it.
Well, we are making our high protein taco power bowls. What I love about bowls is they are very easy to customize to even just one person. You just pull out the ingredients that you need and you can make yourself a really yummy bowl. So I am getting a sweet potato cut up. We are going to make kind of some smoky sweet potato corn hash type of situation. I don't really know what to call it. But I am just going to be using the one skillet to do our sweet potato and corn, and then we'll pull that out and do our ground turkey. Now you can put the sweet potato and corn in the oven and roast it, but I didn't want to have to do the two processes or heat up my oven. So I've got a large corn here. Like I said, I cut up my small sweet potato and I did it like in 1-inch cubes. Now how I like to cut my corn when it's raw like this is I'm going to snap it in half. Actually, let me do that real quick. And then I will stand it up on its ends and shave off the corn. Now I do have this little fancy corn remover thing, but I only like to use it when the corn is cooked because it's kind of dangerous. This is just a little easier and safer, but I do really enjoy this thing. So we will get our corn off the cob here, and I've got my skillet heating to like a medium heat. We're going to add a little bit of olive oil, and then we will throw in our sweet potatoes first. I'll season them a little bit with a really simple seasoning, and then we'll add our corn about halfway through because I still want to maintain that crispness with the corn and it still be kind of juicy and fresh. And for this recipe, I'm not going to be doing any kind of rice or quinoa. Our potato and our corn is going to have a lot of fillingness to it. And then of course we're going to have some black beans. We'll have some other ingredients that it's just going to be filling. I don't think we need it. So that's that. Let's head over to the skillet. Okay, so let's add about a half a tablespoon of olive oil, and we'll use the other half tablespoon to do our ground turkey. You can also do ground beef. You can do any kind of meat you want, or don't do any meat and do a vegetarian option. So all of these taters go in. And then for my seasonings, we've got some smoked paprika, about a half a teaspoon, about a 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, and then a little salt and pepper. And the smoked paprika is just going to give it really great flavor and I think complement the turkey that will have the taco flavor. So we're going to get our potatoes kind of caramelized. Once I stir it the second time and we start to see some color, then I'm going to add in the corn. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm getting some nice color on the potatoes. So let's go ahead and add in our corn. I should have got my pastry scraper out. That would have been much easier to scoop the corn up with. Okay, and I am going to sprinkle a little bit of salt over the corn, and then we'll add just a touch of pepper. Okay, and then we'll saute our corn and potatoes for a few more minutes. Really, when I start to see a little bit of color on the corn, my potatoes are almost done. Then it's ready. This looks and smells fantastic. So I'm going to transfer it to my bowl here so we can get our ground turkey cooked up. We'll do our last half tablespoon of olive oil. And then I burnt myself while I was adding the ground turkey, so don't do that. So we've got a half a pound of ground turkey. Well, goodness gracious, that pan was a little bit too hot. So we turned this sucker down. Our meat is pretty much cooked through, so I'm going to add in some taco seasoning. We've got maybe a couple tablespoons. And then we'll toast this for a second, and then I'll add just a splash of water. Okay, a little bit of water. We'll cook this another couple minutes, and then we get to assemble our bowls. I've already gotten all of my other ingredients prepped. The only thing I do need to do is it looks like I gotta slice up my avocado. But for the most part, this is ready to go. Aside from our sweet potatoes and corn, our ground turkey, we also have some black beans we're going to be adding. We have some tomato slices. Cottage cheese is going to be part of our extra protein. We'll do some lettuce for crunch. And then we're going to add our fresh avocado. I've got a little bit of salsa and some cilantro. So I'm going to try and get this in here nice and pretty. And then we finally get to taste it together. So hopefully this is some inspiration for you. You can create any kind of bowl you want to, but it's perfect if you're just making something for two people. So I'm going to take a little bit of my taco meat, cottage cheese, and then I've got to get some of my sweet potato corn stuff. Looks so good. Doesn't that look yummy? Let's try that again. It's a good thing I have a dog. She'll be happy to clean it up. All right. Okay, the flavor is bomb, but the texture with the tender sweet potato and then that crisp corn, yum. All right, what else do we got? A little fresh lettuce, some tomato, get some taco meat. Very light and fresh. This is definitely a perfect meal for two. Get that piece right there. Okay. All right, we are making our pineapple chicken rice casserole. So I need to start by cooking some bacon. We only need 1 slice of bacon for this recipe, but I'm going to do 2 because I can't cook bacon and then not have an extra slice to snack on because it's going to smell so good. So we're going to get this in the microwave, get our bacon cooked until it's nice and crispy. And while that happens, we're going to make our sauce, and everything is pretty much going to go into this bowl. It's going to be so easy. And then while our bacon is cooking, I'm going to get our chicken cut up into small cubes. I'm using 2 small boneless, skinless chicken breasts. So you're going to want to use like 1 large chicken breast, or maybe like 3/4 pound for this recipe. I think that this will be plenty for 2 people, but really this will probably give us a little bit of leftovers. So if you have 3 people in the house, this would feed 3 people just fine, or leftovers for lunches. I love any kind of recipe with chicken and pineapple. I have, I think, 2 or 3 different versions of chicken and pineapple combinations on my website that I love, and I will make sure to link below. One of them is my most popular recipe on my website. It gets tons of views every day, and it's just so simple. It's a sheet pan meal, but it's really good and simple. But this one's going to be even easier because it's kind of like a dump and bake. Okay, that looks good. So bacon is done and it's time to make our sauce. And I burnt one of the pieces, but that's okay. I'm still snacking on it and it's still good and crispy. All right, so for our sauce, we're gonna start out with a half a cup of chicken broth. Oop, I still have some of the bouillon down in there. And then I also added 2 tablespoons more water. So half a cup plus 2 tablespoons of water. And then I've mentioned this so many times, I like to use the Better Than Bouillon base. I love that. It's very rich, has great flavor. And then we're gonna add in a 1/4 cup of low sodium soy sauce. We have 1.5 tablespoons of brown sugar. And then I am gonna add about a teaspoon of sriracha. So we are gonna mix up the sauce. I just realized I'm probably crunching in the microphone. Bacon is the best. That looks good. And then the last ingredients, we're gonna add in an 8-ounce can of pineapple tidbits, and we're gonna add all the juice as well. We have 3/4 cup of long grain white rice, and I'm doing basmati. It's one of my favorite rices to use, but like jasmine or just regular long grain white rice you can use as well. And then for our veggies, I have a 1/3 cup each of red bell pepper, green, and then some onion. And then I also did a large garlic clove minced. So on my website, it just shows a red bell pepper, but I had some green bell pepper left over and wanted to use that up. So obviously you can use whatever color you want to use for this recipe. And then we are going to add in our diced up chicken. So simple. I feel like I'm forgetting something, but I'm not. The bacon's going to go over the top after it's done baking. And then we have some green onion and cilantro. We're also going to garnish this with those fresh ingredients. I don't know what size this casserole dish is, but it's like half the size of a 9x13 baking dish. And it has a lid, which is perfect because you do need to make sure that this is well covered so that the rice can steam and cook. So let's pull this over here, and this is greased. And then we're going to add all of this. And then we'll want to make sure to kind of spread everything out, pat it down a little bit, make sure that that rice is down in with the liquid. So I'm going to pop the lid on. We're going to place this in the oven at 375 for about 45-ish minutes. I'm going to check it at the 45-minute mark, make sure our rice is tender and our chicken should be cooked through. And then all we have left to do is to garnish it with some cilantro, green onion, and top it with our crispy bacon. It's going to be so good. This truly is the best part with you. Isn't that beautiful? So I actually cooked this for 55 minutes. I pulled it out at 45 and I felt like the rice still needed just a little bit more time. And then I let it set for 5 minutes and fluffed it with a fork and then added all my toppings. And the rice is perfect. It's very fluffy. I can tell that there's still lots of moisture in there. And my kitchen smells wonderful. You know, because the pineapple is so juicy still, it's almost like it offers additional moisture to the rice. There's so much flavor in the rice and it's not dry, but this isn't meant to be like a real saucy type of dinner. However, if you want to do like teriyaki sauce, drizzle that over the top if you like yours really saucy, feel free to do that. But this is plenty flavorful and it has plenty of moisture. It's the perfect dinner for 2. And I think we'll probably have enough leftovers for us to each have a serving for lunch tomorrow. And it's going to be fantastic. I'm excited about that. This is delicious. You definitely have to try this one. And one more thing, while I'm chowing down on this, so around the edges as it bakes, the rice gets a little bit crispy, but it is so good. When you stir that in, it's almost like you get a little bit of the fried rice texture with all of this. Anyway, I just had to mention that. Truly, I feel like it just adds additional texture and yumminess to this dish. And I'm just gonna keep eating because it's so, so good. Well, don't forget to check out my Dinners for 2 video. I'm so glad we got to spend some time together today. I'm looking forward to seeing you next time.